chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To hear the administration tell it, having to get a warrant is the end of the world. Well, guess what? In literally any other context in which law enforcement or intelligence agencies want to read an American's communications, they have to get a warrant. That's been the rule for over 200 years, and for 46 years, the government has had to get a FISA Title I order to read Americans' communications in a foreign intelligence investigation. These are investigations in which Americans are suspected of terrorism, espionage, cybercrimes, you name it. Somehow, a warrant or Title I requirement is completely consistent with national security in those high-stake cases, yet the administration and those who oppose to this amendment allege that it will plunge us into a dystopian nightmare if we apply this same basic long-standing protection to Section 702 queries, where the American often isn't even suspected of any wrongdoing at the time of the query. I don't buy it, and neither should you. Over a decade ago, as my friend Mr. Nadler said just a moment ago, a group of intelligence experts unanimously recommended requiring a warrant for U.S. person queries of Section 702 data. That group included Michael Morrell, former acting director of the CIA, and Richard A. Clarke, former chief counterterrorism advisor to President George W. Bush. Bipartisan, recommended the same thing that we have in our warrant today. With that, I reserve.
Gentleman from Arizona is recognized.
Thank you. So let's just consider that the Second Circuit has said that a Fourth Amendment warrant is appropriate. And they haven't finished concluding it, so I don't know where Mr. Himes is going to just keep riding off on that, but the Second Circuit is still considering that. But let's take a look at something else. The U.S. person query is designed to search for communications between Americans and foreigners who happen to be U.S. persons targets. That's what we're hearing. So Mr. Turner says the law already requires a warrant to surveil an American. When he says surveil, what he's talking about is collecting all of an American's communications. And in that case, under Title I, a warrant is required. But a U.S. person query is an attempt to access some of an American's communications, namely those that are incidentally collected under Section 02, and to do so without a warrant. They can do it right now without a warrant. That's the distinction that we're getting at, and with that, I'm going to reserve.
The gentleman from Arizona is recognized for 30 seconds.
And I want to just dovetail on that because my friend from the Intelligence Committee keeps talking about we aren't going to be able to look at Hamas or any of these nefarious actors. That's simply inaccurate. The administration cites multiple examples where using Section 702 to monitor foreign targets has provided critical intelligence. But when it comes to warrantless searches for Americans, they can't provide any examples of where they've provided any useful information, and yet they want to continue to look at U.S. persons' information without a warrant. I urge support of my amendment. Yield back.